Okay, hello everyone. Now, today we're going to talk about the chapter name as Heredity and Evolution. Okay, so let's talk about that in introduction part and we'll start with the PPTs. Okay, so the moment I say heredity is nothing but what? Transfer of transfer of gene, or we can talk about genetic information. Yes or no? From one generation to from one generation to another. Are you agree with this? Yes. So heredity is what? It's a transfer of gene, that is genetic information from one generation to another generation. Yes or no? Yes. Yeah, that is fine. And when you talk about the evolution, is nothing but the changes according to changes according to environment. So be specific towards these things. Heredity is the transfer of genes from one generation to another. And evolution is what? Changes according to the environment. So in this chapter, we talk about the heredity, what is variation, what are the factors responsible for that, what are the cellular compositions are taking place into this, and what is evolution. So we are going to cover all this in this chapter. Okay. So let's start with a great enthusiasm. Okay, the first point we are going to talk about the heredity. Okay, the first point we talk about the heredity. The moment I say heredity means what exactly? The transfer of the character from one parent to their offspring. What is the transfer of? What is hereditary? The now definition, the transfer of. Why there is a transfer of? Because one parent giving to the birth to the daughter cells, right? Character, the transfer of character or a trait or trait. What do you mean by trait? A group of characters is called the trait. Okay. From the parent, the parent, from the parent to their offspring, to their offsprings. Okay. It's called the hereditary. The transfer of offspring means what exactly? The suppose this is amoeba. Okay. Now we're giving rise to the two small daughter cells. So these are called as the offsprings. Okay. The baby in the case of human is called offsprings. Okay. From parent, what is the forming is called a offsprings. So what is heredity? The transfer of genetic, or we can say the character. What is character or trait from the parent to their offspring? Okay. This is point clear. Now the second definition, we're going to talk about a variation. What are the variation? So the moment I say variation, what comes in your mind? What is variation according to you? Tell me. The differences between the character or trait. See, this character trait, they are not differentiation. They just transferred. See, I've told you, just talk to that sir. This is the message. Are you going to manipulate it? No. Are you going to say exactly what I said? Right? Similarly, the hereditary is what exactly transfer the genetic information what the parent has towards the daughter cell. Okay. But there is a variation. Variation come into what? In sexual reproduction. Why? Because gametes are different. Okay. So variation is what? The difference between the character or trait, or what we can say among the individual. See, right, that the difference between what you write, the character or trait, between the character and trait amongst individual, amongst the individual of the same species. That is more important, of the same species. Now tell me one thing, dog has a many species, right? But dog is dog, but they have many species. Even the humans from the Africa, humans from the here, humans from the America, they are humans, but the variation in humans from the China, variation is there in a physical appearance, right? So that's called the variation, the difference between character and trait among the individual of the Same species. If you forget to write this word, same species, then the answer is your wrong. So what is variation? The difference between the character or trait of the same species or the variation. Okay, have you got this? Okay, now we talk about the heredity and variations. Okay, now let's talk about the accumulation of variation. Where you find the what is accumulation? Tell me. If you find some African area, all the communities, all the male, female, like have the same characteristic. That's accumulation, right? One particular area. So when I'm talking about this, let's see, when organism produce the different offspring show the minor variation due to the inaccuracy in the DNA copying. Your answer is here. What do you ask? Okay. When organism reproduce. Okay. Now tell me one thing. Maybe though different states are there just nearby. Okay. The one border is there. Female from this or male from this get married. There will be a child having a different minorities, different minor inaccuracies in the DNA. These variations are less in asexual reproduction and more in a sexual reproduction. Now tell me one thing. Tell me one thing. Suppose some communities has a tendency to marry in a family only. They will have a lot of sexual, or we can say the child retardation problems. Why? Because there is no variation. Variation is need to upgrade yourself. Yes or no? Variation is responsible for upgradation. If there is no variation, the body is not resistance. If you have a rice variety at the city that is growing and the rice variety in the we can say the forest, definitely who is more disease resistant? The one who from the forest. If you combine both, you get a more productivity. Getting my point? Similarly, if there is a little inaccuracy, because the mother from the different state and the father from the different state, they maybe have a different culture and inside genetic information a little bit different. So whenever they combine, the DNA information has been transferred to the zygote, and then zygote going to what going to happen in this process? Some inaccuracy in the zygote. Only single cell is there. That single cell is going to take decision. Oh, I'm getting this color of the eye. Who will I choose? I will choose this because this is the dominant. I will not choose this because this is the recessive. I will use a skin color. Oh, there are fair, there are dark, so I will take a middle layer. Getting my point? So this is the decision taken at the chemical level at the zygote formation. So that is called DNA inaccuracies. Okay. Some variations are useful variations and they help the organism to adjust to the changes in environment. For example, we can say the beetles. I will tell you one story. When I talk about the beetles, let me do this. Okay. When you talk about the beetles, okay, beetles are look like this. There are red color beetles and there are black color beetles. Even there are green color beetles. Green colors are beetle found in the mostly they found on the grass because they want to hide themselves. But if the elephant walking, elephant is not eligible to find. Oh, this is red, this is black. He will stamp on this. So मर जाएंगे बेचारे, right? Now, beetle ने क्या किया? Beetle has done that research on according to them. They done now from the transfer from green color to the red color. Now, if the elephant or other animals are walking, they can easily identify those beetles. They can kill them easily. Earlier, green color was for their protection. Now they become the red color, but red color is for distinction, so they can easily hide. Now another beetle, they can become a black and they sit on the bark of the trees. So what is the problem here? Everybody has a different tendency towards the environment, right? सबका protective nature different है. Distinct होना है तो red color है, hide करना है तो green color है, black color on the wood. तो हम distinguish नहीं कर पाएंगे. So what is this exactly? What is this exactly? This is little variation. So this is okay. This is variation is okay for what? The species which is taking a birth. Now the species is now active. They can take own decision. Now, in case of you, are you going to decide which stream you're going to choose? Science, commerce, it depends on after 10. Till 10th, you have to study all the subject, whatever is given there. After that, you can choose. So till 10th, information is correct. After 10th, you have a tendency. Similarly, this have a genetic information is always same. But for protection, they switch to the color. You understood this? Yes. Now tell me one thing, the polar bear. There are two types of bear. One is polar bear, one is forest bear. What is the color of forest bear? Very good. Brown. Why brown? Because to hide himself, like brown color is not distinctable that. But if the brown color forest bear is come into the snowfall area, anybody can easily identify that is a brown color, something is coming, let's go away. So that color of polar is what? White, to hide. Both are the same species, yes, but the different environment make them suitability is quite different. Why? Forest bear color is brown. Maybe the we can say there are little variations also there according to the face and something. But in this case, a polar bear is mostly white to hide inside the snow or something. Getting my point? So can I say that the bear undergo the variation according to the environment? Similarly, in case of human beings, in India also you understood that variety of the people are there. The sunlight follow there on the south, the sunlight on the north, right? On the depends on that. Skin coloration is there, yes or no? Now tell me one thing. If the north people come to the south, are they going to become a dark? No, because why? They become tan, but they can't become because already the skin pigmentation is done. Getting my point? Yes. So this is the point I wanted to cover it up. Okay, let's go ahead. So have you understood that? So in the environment and they may die because of the extinct. What is extinct? The red beetle. Beetles are green and red. Red cannot survive, but green can survive. But green has some problems like उसके ऊपर कोई पैर रख के भी जा सकता है, उनको पता नहीं चलेगा. रेड के ऊपर नहीं रखेगा, something is dangerous. So both are manipulating themselves और extinct नहीं होंगे. Getting my point? They have taken decision according to this. Now, let's talk about the rules of inheritance. Rules of what? Inheritance. Moment I say inheritance means what? What is inheritance? What is hereditary? Transfer of character or a trait. Okay. Now, inheritance is the process in which genes are getting transferred. Heredity is all over the process. Like what? Transfer of this and this. But how they transfer, what is mechanism? That is inheritance. Getting my point? Even you talk about, oh, diabetes is in my inheritance. Means किसी को diabetes है family में. Mostly you can see that. हमें भी हो सकता है. Okay, that is inheritance. Gene is there already. Now, characters are transferred through the gene present in the DNA molecule in a chromosomes present in the nucleus of the cell. Are you getting my point? What is happening here? The character are transferred through the gene present in the DNA. So DNA is the genetic information molecule. If it is transferred, it's transfer the gene or information, and it's transferring what? It's transfer to the chromosome present in the nucleus of the cell. So this present in a chromosome inside the nucleus. The inheritance or character is due to the fact that both the father and mother contribute equal amount of genetic material to the child. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by this? Now we know that 23 chromosomes from male and 23 chromosomes from female should be there. So can I say that number will be of 46 zygote will be there? Yes or no? But how much number should be there? 46. They are maintained 23, 23. But actually they are not giving half. They are not giving half information. They are giving full information about skin, from here also skin, from here eye color, here from the eye color. But now who is the going to decision taker, maker is zygote. But so they are providing all the information at the chemical level, right? So they are giving all the information, but we have to maintain the number of chromosomes 46. That's why they split up. Why they split up actually? The DNA is a material, right? This DNA, if I unwind it, I get a two strands. These two strands are complementary to each other. They are called complementary to each other. What is this? Okay. If I get a one strand A and B, A is sufficient to give me all the information because exactly same information on the B, it will be there. Okay, so they're complementary to each other. So number is splitted, but information is not splitted. Please make sure this point. Okay, so let's go and understand more in detail. The inheritance of character is due to the fact that both the father and mother will contribute the same information. Okay, equal amount of information. So for each trait, for each character, for a skin coloration, for the hair coloration, okay, There are two factors, one from the father and one from the mother. Now there is a decision. If the suppose skin color, or let's talk about the color of the eye decided by the father has a black color, mother has a blue color. Now what will be the zygote color? I mean, not what will be the child eye color? You can't predict until unless it's developed. Okay, so there are two factors responsible for that. George John Mendel, that's the Mendel. Mendel is a scientist who performed the experiment with the garden pea plant, and determined the result of the inheritance trace. Now, what is the problem? The question was, the question or information what is put forward by the scientists is that there is no splitting of the information. There is a total information we are getting, but something is there not clear how the variation is done, because information is totally given. Now, who is responsible for variation? Yes, the level, that is zygote level, will be there, because from one cell multiple cells are going to form. So at that level decision is going to take, right? So who the Mendel scientist, the Mendel one, he performed the experiment of pea plant. Now my question is that why he took only pea plant, not other plants? What is the reason why he took the pea plant only? Because pea plant is a short living plant. It's a short living plant. He completes the cycle, complete the cycle. Which cycle? From the root to shoot and everything is going to happen. Yes or no? From root to shoot, shoot to what? A whole plant will be there. Okay. So the whole cycle, complete cycle in a short period of time, short period. Okay. Second, he performed how many years of experiment? 7 years. He gave 7 years. Okay. And why he choose pea plant is a short living, complete a cycle, and variation can be identify easily. Identify easily. Now, suppose he have taken a rose plant. The life cycle of rose plant is not that much short, because pea plant is like getting very easily available, and you can see the character very easily, distinguishable character. There are pea plant. That's why pea plant is chosen by the Mendel. So why pea plant chosen by the Mendel? Because of the short living, complete the cycle in a short cycle period, and identification is very easy in that case. Is the point clear? Okay. So now tell me one thing, what is happening exactly? We have a cell. Okay, we have a cell. Inside the cell, there is a nucleus. From the nucleus, there is a chromosome. There is what? Chromosome. Inside the chromosome, there is a DNA winding is there. Yes or no? DNA winding is there. From the DNA, what is there? From the DNA, what is there? Binding is there, right? Yes or no? So ultimately, this information is actually inside the nucleus. Chromosomes are what? Chromosomes are what? Chromosomes. Inside the chromosome, there is DNA is wind. So how can you say that? Genetic information. So those who are responsible for transfer are chromosomes. Okay, DNA is not getting transferred directly. Chromosomes are responsible for transfer. Okay, now let's study this. When the plant having one pair of character, example tall and short plant, was cross monohybrid. What is that monohybrid? Let's talk about that. I'm going to tell you everything. Don't worry. Just pay attention. Now, Mendel selected a pea plant having a one pair of character. Right now in a pea plant, he took the one character. A tall pea plant and a short pea plant. He took what? Tall and a short. What pea plant? He has taken one tall pea plant, has taken a short pea plant. Okay. Now, he selected the pure tall TT and pure short TT. What is the TT? If pure tall is there, this is the TT. It is represent a genetic character. TT means totally tall. This plant, this tall plant, definitely come from one male, one female, or a asexual reproduction will be there. So the pure geneticity is mentioned, that is tall. And this short, this is dwarf. That means both the character is small t. Yes or no? Small t is there. So what is small t? Dwarfness. or the short one. What is the TT? Okay. So can I say that trait? What is hereditary? The transfer of trait. So one trait is T. T for tall. T for dwarf or short. Now tell me one thing. If I talk about first generation is TT, that means pure TT. All tall is there. This generation is dwarf. Okay. Now what is happening? See, if it is combining, you get one capital T, small t. If this combine, you get small t and small t, right? Yes or no? So this is your first generation. This is your, but can you find in second generation something is there? One is dominant character, one is recessive character. What is dominant? Who can express himself or itself very aggressively. And the recessive is there. He is there. For example, my brother height is very short, but my height is very big. Why? Because when the reaction was happening in that case, he chosen the dwarf one. In my case, what happened? The T was dominant. Getting my point? So this is a second generation. This is a thing. So what is this? Dominant is what? T. So what plant? Tall will be there. What plant? Tall will be there. So this is what? A pure. This is what? A pure tall. And this is pure dwarf. But in case dominant tall and dominant tall. So this, if the get transferred further, what going to happen? What going to happen? Let's see. So now this is a male, this is a female. Okay, let's start. One you getting TT, one we get TT, one we get TT, and one we get small t. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is again what? Totally tall. This is totally dwarf. Can you see something? What we got in the second thing? What's that? Again, the dominant characters are there. In this case, no dominance. Both are the same. Homozygous, heterozygous, homozygous, same. Heterozygous, different. But this plant will be tall only because this is the recessive. What is recessive? Not expressive at much. What is the dominant? Who express much more. That is the point. So the ratio of the pure tall and a hybrid tall and a pure dwarf was a 1 is to 2 is to 1. What is this, sir? Look at the F1 generation. What do we get? Tall. So 1 is to 1. In this case, we get 1 tall, 2 hybrid 1 and 1 dwarf. So what is the ratio here? 1 is to 2 is to 1. This point is clear. The trait that is expressed in a F1 generation is called a dominant trait. F1 generation, the trait is there, it's called a dominant one. And the trait that is suppressed in F1 generation is called the recessive trait. Please write this. The trait that express in F1 generation is called dominant. And the trait that not expressed in F1 generation is called a recessive. Okay, recessive trait. So traits are how many types? Two types, dominant and recessive. Please write it quickly. Please write quickly. That is done. This one is done. Okay. Now, let's talk about these things. Tell me one thing. See. Come here. A round shape P and the wrinkle shape P. Round is what? RR. And this is wrinkle RR. This is round. What is the trait here? The shape of the P. Okay, shape of the P granule. So this is RR round, RR So again, I took the pure round, pure wrinkle one, not dwarf right now. Okay. So now if there I'm doing this, the first generation, I'm doing this, what going to happen? R, 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 R. So one is dominant, one is. So here is the ratio maintained. What's that? 1:1. But again, this is F1 generation. F2 generation is what? They will be giving you rise to four things. Yes or no? What is that? R, 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 and R, R. So again, the ratio is 1, ratio is 2, ratio is 1 here. Yes or no? So F1 generation, who is dominant, who is giving the expressive, that is dominant one. Who is not expressed is called the recessive one. Getting my point? Okay, that's great. Okay, this point is clear. Okay, now we are moving to the next part. Can you have a, can you please open your book quickly? Open your book. Okay, now let's talk about this. When plants having the two pairs of character, right now what we have studied, you can get a Punnett chart. Punnett chart is there. Okay. Now tell me one thing. We are scientists, Mendel scientists. Please pay attention here. Mendel scientist was earlier what doing? What is what doing earlier? Tell me. Now tell me one thing. Is it possible? Like, see, in pea plant, a variety of the characters are there. Only we focus on the one. If you're focusing one, you can get it very easily. But right now, suppose I want tall character, dwarf character, round character, and the wrinkle character. So now it will be difficult to identify. We just focus on one, we can get information very easily. But right now, what we can do? So we can do this table. That is called Pupunet chart. T R R R. Can you do this? T T T R T R T R. Is it possible to write this? Is it possible to write this? See, no. Why? You can't mix two traits together. For writing purpose, you can do. But if you get a result, you can't do that. Are you getting my point? Just look at your book. There is one table is there. Yes or no? That table is called as Punnett table. Okay, so let's see that. What is that exactly? Okay, just look at that. When plants having a two pairs of character, example, shape and color. Now, what is the characters here? Shape and colors. Where crossed. See, earlier was monohybrid. Only we just consider one. Right now is a dihybrid. We are considered two character at once. But I told you, many character at once, it's very difficult. So Mendel selected a pea plant having a two pairs of characters, shape and color of the seed. He selected a plant having round yellow seed. What is round yellow seed? See, round yellow seed. How can you write in genetically? Round means RR, pure form, right? Round. Yellow color is what here? YY. Okay, just consider this. Now, and the wrinkle green seed. Wrinkle green seed. Please pay attention. Green seed. Wrinkle, what is what there? This was there, na? Small r, right? Wrinkle what? Green. Green for green, what we write? Small y. So how? Because one is yellow color, another color is green. These are our round shape pea plant. These are our wrinkle shape. Okay. So now he obtained all the plants with a round yellow seeds in the F1 generation. F1 generation is what? What is F1 generation? If I do F1 generation, round. Now what is this? Y and small y. What is this? Is F1 generation. I told you F1 generation is about the dominance. What is who is dominant here? See, both characters are transfer, but only R is dominant. R is what? Round yellow set. Wrinkle are there, but they are not that much expressive. Why? Which Y color? Yellow. So F1 generation contains these things. Yes or no? Okay. Now, in F1 generation, when these plants were self-pollinated in the F2 generation, out of 16 plants, 9 had a round yellow, 3 had a round green, 3 wrinkle, and 1 had a wrinkle green skin. What is this? Tell me one thing. See here, either earlier we have a one character, so we get a fourth things. Right now, how many characters are? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 characters are there, right? So how we do this 4 character? Can you see the table? Yes. Now in the table, what you understand that we are getting RRYY, RRY small y, then RR double YY, capital Y, then again this one. So what is happening? We are combining with each everyone, right? Are you getting my point? What I'm trying to say according to the table is written over there. Then next one, look at this. Next one is capital RRYI, this one. So how can you say that? How many are different? So out of that, in F2 generation, we got a 16 plants. 16 plants. How many plants we got? 16. See, from 2, we're getting 4. From 4, we obviously get the 16 one, right? So out of 16, out of 16, what was the ratio? Tell me. 9 had 9 had round yellow, round yellow, round yellow. Please pay attention. Tell me how can I write round yellow? I'm not going to write RR because purity is mentioned only F1 generation. In F2 generation is what? No purity is there. This is going to have. So RR. Yes. And for that, what should I write? Y capital and this Y capital. Very good. I got this. 3 had a round green. 3 is round green. Again what? I have to write RR, right? For green, small y will be there. Very good. So you're getting my point. And the 3 round green, 3 wrinkle yellow. 3, again 3 what? Wrinkle yellow. How can I write wrinkle yellow? Small r, yellow. Y is dominant, Y is not dominant here. And 1 is wrinkle green. 1 only I got. What? Wrinkle green. So what is wrinkle green? R, small y. Yes or no? So what is this exactly? What is exactly this? Can anybody tell me what is this exactly? So out of 16 in F2 generation, a 9 was round yellow, means R was dominant. 3 green round was there. Again, round are dominant. But apart from that, there is a yellow was dominant. Here 3, Y was dominant. Which Y? Green color. Then apart of 3 wrinkles is there. And the only one out of 16, only one was wrinkle green. So recessive character also get activated when they undergo the F2 generation. So this was the result. So why he performed the experiment to tell us we can't say, we can't predict which expressive will be there, dominant or recessive. It may happen. This is expressive much more, only it once, but at the cellular level, if it is expressive, then there is a changes in the plant. Getting my point? So can we predict the child before the birth, how he will appear? No, not at all. Because we don't know which is expressive and all. This point is clear? Very good. So let's move to the back and understand. So this we done. Okay. Now tell me one thing. What is the sex determination? How the sex determination is done? Tell me. Sex determination of the child. How? From the male. Acha. Uh, male has a male gamete called as a sperm, having 23 set of chromosome. Similarly, in case of female, the male gamete is ova or egg. How many chromosomes? 23 chromosomes. Now they combine to form a 46 chromosome, that is zygote. Correct? Can you predict the? No, at this moment we can't do because not information is given. Now we know that female has sex characteristic, XX characteristic. What is XX? Female can you give the X chromosome only, but male has a X and Y chromosomes. Okay, so when XX is from, so female is only giving only X chromosome, so she is not responsible for the sex determination of the fetus. She is not responsible because X will be the common in both. But who is responsible? Male is responsible. Now, what are the chances? See, if this X is going to form, F2 generation we're going to talk about, right? XXX female, gender will be female. This X and XY, it can be male, right? Yes or no? Yes. So who is responsible for the sex determination? Male. Why? Because see, 23 is common. From the 23, I'm talking about this X and Y and this Y. They are called the sex chromosome. Sex chromosome. Okay, or sex determined chromosome. Sex determined chromosome. Okay. Be comfortable. Okay, so human beings have a, now I'm going to see whatever we have discussed, I'm going to read that. Human beings have a 23 pair of chromosome in the nucleus of the cell. Out of 2 chromosomes are a sex chromosome, X and Y. The female has a X chromosome, that is XX. Male has a X and Y chromosome. The sperm and the eggs have the same set of chromosomes. Some sperm have a X chromosome while another sperm has a Y chromosome. If the sperm having X chromosome, listen very carefully, if the sperm having the X chromosome fuses with the egg having the X chromosome, fetus will be having XX chromosome, female will be there. A child be a girl. If a sperm having Y chromosome fuses with the egg having the X chromosome, the child will be a boy. This point is clear? Very good. Now we are going to read a lot. Okay, so just pay attention. Variation may or may not help organize the organism to survive. What is variation? What we have studied about the variation? Tell me. What is variation according to you? Please tell me. Variation is what? Inaccuracies in the DNA. Information is given from both the things, but the inaccuracies make the variation. But variations are not always positive. Sometimes it will be create a problem. So some variation help organism to survive. There are some variation. We are talking about what? Variation. Okay. Character one, the one who helps to survive. What are the variation? For example, there are some beetles living in the green bushes. They increase their numbers by reproduction. Crows can easily see the red beetles and they are eaten by the crows. Red beetles are there. Crows can easily identify, oh, there is green. There is no green. There are red. So they can distinctly attack on it. During the reproduction, due to the some variation, some green beetles are produced instead of red beetles. So they produce what now? Red beetles. Okay. Instead of red, they become now green. The green beetles are not visible to the crows and are not eaten by them. Then gradually the population of the red beetle decreases and the population of green beetle increases. This variation has helped the organism to survive. So what is it? Let's take example. What's the example? There are red and a green beetles was there. Okay. So red can be, crows can be eaten. Eat the red one very easily because of the color. This is protection. Why protection will be there? They can hide themselves, right? Green color hides them. So what is happening here? Now this result into what? Population. Population, whose population? Of green beetles increase. Yes or no? Due to what? Variation. So this variation is helps to survive. This variation is what? Helps to survive. Okay. But there are some variation do not help in survive. So what are they? Let's study. Okay. Some variation do not help in organisms to survive. What's that? Let's see here. During the sexual reproduction, a color variation occurs in the red beetles. Now, what is going to happen? Tell me one thing. During the sexual reproduction, a color, see, only sexual reproduction gives the variation, no asexual at all. So, during the sexual reproduction, a color variation occurs in the red beetles, and some blue beetles are produced instead of red beetles. Means what? They want to be green, they want to be red, they want to be blue. Depends on what? The color. Okay. So there are some changes occur. See, you can see the F1 generation was a pure one, F2 generation. At the end, we get something different, right? Dominant characters are there. 1 is to 2 is to 1, but that 1 is giving what? Recessive character also get expressed, right? Similar way, if they want a green, red, and blue, blue can be there, right? Blue can be there, green can be there, green can be protected by themselves. If their red is, then crows can be eaten it. Blue, what about the blue? Let's see. Okay, so blue petals are produced instead of the red petal. Now, which is producing in the red petal right now? Blue color. Both the red and blue petals are visible to the crows right now. So instead of population should be protected, now population is not good protected. Why? Easily identify the crows. Okay, so only green was survive here. So only crows and are eaten by the worm. Then the population of the both red and blue beetles decreases. This variation has not helped the organism to survive. So there one organisms can be survive, that green and this one. But it is problematic because at the end we have seen some recessive character also expressive that time. Okay, now so do not help in survive what? What we can talk about? A blue beetle example. Blue and red beetle example. Same example you can given here, right? And now the third, A, B, C. C will be what? Acquired traits cannot be passed from one generation to the next. What is acquired traits? Can anybody tell me acquired trait cannot be passed from one generation to another? What is acquired? Example, if the population of the beetle increases and the plants are affected, if the population of increases, beetle wants plant to eat, right? They want nothing else. By disease, if the population of beetle increasing, ultimately they're eating the plant, so plant will be dies eventually. Then the food available for the beetle decreases. Whatever the red color, blue color, suppose case one, it helps us survive. Now, what is the green color? Green color beetles are much more. Nobody is eating them. So their population increases, but they need a food. They will going to eat a plant. Now the plant growth will be decrease. Okay. Then the food available for the beetle decreases and their body weight also decreases. If they do not get a food, obviously their body weight get decreases. If after a few years availability of the food increases and the body weight of the beetles also increases. If the more food is there, the size will be increasing. If no food is there that much acquired, then what going to happen? Size will be decreasing. This acquired trait cannot be passed from one generation to another. They can't. They can change the color, but they can't change the weight until this food availability is there. Okay. So this is no change in genetic composition. Genetic composition will be same, will be independent. Okay, food availability. So acquired trait is what? Food availability. What's that? Depends on the food availability. If the food available, increase in weight. If food is not available, decrease in. They will be living, but they will not get that much food. Okay. For example, right now I'm not liking food of here, but I have to eat anyhow. So my weight will be reduced. I'm going to die. No, because I'm going to eat something. Getting my point? So for sufficient amount I'm getting, so my weight will be there. If I go back to the India again, then what's going to happen? I will be eat yummy food again, the whichever I want, right? And then my weight will be gain again. So it is acquired, but I can't transfer this information to my bacha. I'm able to transfer this. Oh, if you get a food, grow in size. I can't do that. Okay. So these are the two things. Helps to survive, do not help in survival. Acquired traits cannot pass from one generation to another generation. This point is very clear. Okay, now we're moving to the speciation. What are the speciation? So let's start with that. Okay, before we get too into this. Let's have a little break. So now we talk about the variation. Okay, variation is what it can helpful, it cannot helpful at all, or some characters are of variation cannot be transferred. These three things we done. Okay, now we're going to talk about a speciation. What is speciation? Speciation, or what is that? Species. What are the species? Specific species are like dog species are this one. Dog species from the America is quite different, right? Similar. Formation of new species from the existing species. How it's possible? Now tell me one thing. If the polar bear is transferred from there to this region right now, polar bear is transferred from here, there to here. What is going to happen in this case now? First off, all the hairs will be start shedding off. Color will be start changing. Not in one day, not 2 day. At least it requires many years, almost many years. And suppose male and female polar bears are transferred to these Gulf countries. Now what is going to happen? Either they can die if they are not able to survive properly. They can be die probability. If they survive, what going to happen? The baby will be forming having the brown coloration, not a white, right? Maybe chances are there. Okay, that's called speciation. The formation of new species from the existing species is mainly due to the one or more of the following factors. What they? Accumulation of the variation, physical barriers, genetic drift, natural selection. Acha, let's talk about the natural selection. Okay, the person like me and the person is another. If it is a cold region, I will die because I don't have a fat over there. He can survive. If situation is changed, I shift to the wind. I mean, we can say the high temperature area. May possibilities he can be die because of the fat accumulation. So one character which is surviving in the second case, it is not able to survive properly, right? So that is a natural selection. Okay, let's talk about it. First, accumulation of the variation. What is accumulation of variation? First is what is the first thing that we are going to talk about is accumulation, accumulation, accumulation of variation. That means what? Many variations are happening. Yes or no? Okay. The difference between the individuals of the same species is called a variation. We have talked about that, right? Yes or no? The difference between the individual of the same species are different. That's called variation. The reaccumulation of variation over the several generation. I didn't get you. What is over the several generation? What is variation? If the individual of the same species has some different character, that's called variation. This is point clear. Now, we're talking about the accumulation of the variation over a several generation produce the new species. That means what? One variation is done. Now that variation done species is undergo the reproduction, keep on the reproduction, and obviously little inaccuracies in DNA called a variation. If the that is the starting point of the new generation, definitely that inaccuracies are going to transfer, and because of the many inaccuracies in the DNA, maybe lead the different variation. That is called accumulation in a variation. Getting my point? Suppose one cat family has only one blue eye cat. If that blue eye cat and he got a partner found a blue eye male cat, what going to happen? The children which is going to form majority are the blue eyes. So once is inaccuracies of the DNA, and then it leads to the whole accumulation of the generation. Very good. So first is accumulation of variation is what? Variation over several generation. Variation over several generation. Several generation. Okay, it's called accumulation of variation. B. Physical barriers. What are the physical barriers? Can you tell me? This I gave the example of state change, right? Climatic changes. So population may get separated by physical barriers like mountains, rivers, lakes. These isolated groups produce a variation which can produce a new species. Okay, like what are the barriers like mountains, rivers, and lakes? For example, one species is staying here. All are the mountain lines are there. and one species is here. So maybe whatever the resources are present here may not happen, the present will be here. So this variation is quite different. Like isolated species, most of the tribal species are isolated one. They are very away from the city or something. They don't have that much resources what we have right now. So they have their own cultures and something. So that is physical barriers are changing, right? In between, if suppose there is a river, if there is a sea in between, then it will be more problematic thing, right? Yes or no? So this is happening. Now, third is the genetic drift. Third is what? Genetic drift. What is that? Genetic genetic drift. What is that genetic drift? Okay. Natural calamities. What are the natural calamities? Can anybody tell me? Natural calamities or introduction of a new members of the same species in the area can produce the changes in the gene pool of the population and new variation of produce which can produce new species. What is this? Let's take example Oman. Oman population, the Omani population is less, but the Indians from India, from Egypt, from Philippines, there are many people are coming here. They start their family, they start their generation. So the Omani families are there. But right now, if you see on the road, majority are the Indians, majority are the Philippines. So what we can say that there is a genetic drift now. Maybe Indians, it's not gonna possible if they interchange marriages there. So the genetic drift will be there. Are you getting my point? What I'm trying to say that? Okay. So natural calamities or introduction of new members of the same species. Natural calamities. Suppose I give the example. This was a mountain earlier. What happens if natural calamities are there and mountains are not there? So this will be communicable right now. So there is a genetic drift. Suddenly there was some genetics now. Suddenly new genes are available. I mean, information is available, right? Okay. Then natural selection. Only those individuals. Fourth is what? Natural selection. What is natural selection? That is more important. Only those individuals of the species which have the useful variation can be adapt to the changes in the environment, survive, and the other die. Again, I'm reading. Only those individuals of a species which have useful variations and can adapt to the changes in the environment, survive, and others are die. Example I given you, Motu and Patlu, I give the example, right? In a winter or in a snow, right? Same. Now, migration. What is the migration? What is a migration? Yes, there are some birds every day, not every day, sorry. Every year they migrate from the America towards the India. Red color bird, I mean pink color bird is there. Okay. So some individuals, but why they migrate? Food availability is not there at that time because every lake, every river or lake is going to surround with a snow, surrounding with ice. So cover with ice definitely. Then they don't have a food at that much availability. So they will travel from that area to the area where food is available. India climate is what? We don't get a snow at India, right? But it's normal climate. So some individuals of a species may migrate to the new geographical area and adjust to their changes in the environment. There are develop a new variation, produce new species. Suddenly, in that area, this migratory bird was there. So the fishes, the other things are not that much adaptive. Oh, what is this happening? So that is called migration. Okay, this point is clear. What we talk about accumulation. What is accumulation? What is accumulation? Tell me. So we talk about the accumulation, variation over a several generation. Generation genetic material was there, but sudden inaccuracies in a genetic material, only 1 2 people or the persons or individuals are genetically variation rather than this. But this is going to start a new generation that will be a variation over a several generation. Now, physical barrier. What are the physical barriers such as a mountain, river, lake? So they can distinguish between the. They are these are the factors responsible for the distincts of the communities, right? Then genetic drift. What is genetic drift? I told you. What is that? Can anybody tell me? Like natural calamities and all suddenly happens. So it will be genetic. Suddenly introduction of the thing. The natural selection, we talk about that, right? Natural selection is the one. If the body is adaptive, then you are selective in that particular environment. Body is not that, then it will be problematic. And migration, you know that one species migrate to another species, another area, those species now in problematic because already food was rare and suddenly these species add on advantage, right? हमने खाना 5 लोगों का मंगवाया और सडनली 2 लोग हमारे फ्रेंड्स आ गए, तो खाना इज देयर सफिशिएंट, नो सफिशिएंट राइट नाउ, व्हाई? बिकॉज 7 लोग हो गए वहां पे, गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? सो दैट विल बी माइग्रेटरी थिंग्स इज, दिस पॉइंट्स आर क्लियर, वेरी गुड. Now we're going to talk about the evolution. What is the evolution? It is a long term changes, not a sudden changes. What is evolution? A gradual changes, not sudden changes. You take a longer time to from Homo sapien towards a man or a human. It's a very huge changes, right? Yes or no? But it took place in a second. So many years. Yes or no? Homo sapien was a species, then is converted to something, and then ultimate is what? Man. Yes or no? But it took lot of time to be happen, right? So evolution is a what? Slow process. Adaptation is what? Quick process. What is adaptation? Getting adapted to the environment. That is adaptation. But evolution, to be evolved, you need a lot months of time you needed. Okay. So let's focus on the things. Okay, so what is evolution? A gradual changes taking place in a living organism. What is this evolution? A gradual change. Evolution is nothing but what? A gradual change. Evolution is nothing but what? A gradual change taking place in living organism. Taking place in living organism. Okay, in organism. What going to happen in this case? Organism. Tell me. Tell me. Giving rise to new organism due to the changes their genetic composition. Living organism giving giving rise. Why rise is there? To a new organism due to, क्यों होंगे ये? Due to changes in their genetic composition, in their genetic composition, in their genetic composition is called a evolution. So what you have concluded? It's a gradual change, right? And why? Due to then their genetic composition. These are the two things we understood, right? So evolution has a different parts. So what is evolution? You have to write this definition. Now, inherited traits. What is inherited trait? I told you. Heredity is the whole process. Inheritatory means what? The process by which is going to happen. So inherited traits are the traits. Please pay attention. Inherited traits are the traits in the organism due to changes in a genetic composition, and it can be passed from one generation to next. Tell me one thing. In case of variation, the last point, they are not able to transfer to genetic information. Are you getting my point? The weight gain and weight loss in beetles, they are not able to transfer that. But in inheritance, they can transfer. Are you getting my point? So the inherited traits are the traits. What is traits? A group of characteristics in an organism due to the changes in a genetic composition. If there is change in the genetic composition, definitely there is a change. So it can pass. Those changes now able to pass from one generation to another generation to the next, which result in a evolution. So what is evolution? In variation was adaptive changes. They can't be transferred, but a evolution is a one in which the genetic information can be passed from one generation to another. This point is clear. Very good. Now acquired traits. What is inherited traits? That can be transferred. So what I can talk about that, I can write here. Just give me 1 second. What are the inherited traits? Inherited traits. Hereditary traits. What are the traits? Can be transfer. What they can be transfer? Genetic information. Yes or no? Genetic information. From where to where? From, tell me, one generation to another, or parent to the offspring. Another. Okay, so these are the inheritatory traits are there in evolution. So evolution enables the genetic information to be transferred. Variation do not allow this. Okay. Now acquired trait. The moment I say acquired, what do you mean by acquired? Anybody? What do you mean by acquired? Like accumulation or acquired are the same thing? No. Acquired traits are the traits. Why are we talking about the traits? It's a group of characters. That is only transferring. Na? Transferation is depend on the genetic information. So once it's transferred, it get expressed and then we can understand, oh, that is the thing. Like I told you, skin coloration is not, we can indicate only just seeing the parents. After getting birth of the child, definitely we can say that, right? So traits are expressed, then only we can understand. So acquired means after getting it. So acquired traits are the traits which are acquired by an organism during its lifetime and cannot be passed from one generation to another. For example, if I right now my skin coloration is little black, for example, if I do the gymming, my testosterone level be increasing, and definitely if you keep on gymming, skin coloration maybe fade away, not exactly, maybe. You must have seen those people are very thin earlier and the skin coloration was not that much good, but after using some techniques or gymming properly, testosterone boost up, and testosterone when boost up, body structure get changed and even you get fair little bit. Is it possible to transfer to my child? He has acquired by himself after just joining the gym and all, right? Yes or no? So what is acquired? Like acquired immunity. What is innate immunity? We are getting from the mother. Whatever the milk we are drinking in the childhood, not in the childhood, obviously as a baby. So we are getting all the things. Even in the mother womb, we are getting the immunity from the mother. But when we grown up, what are the infections are outside? What are the environment is outside? According to the body, start adapting. That is acquired. So acquired trait means what? If the person, if the individual is acquired by himself or herself, those are the traits that cannot be transferred. Inherited, that can be generation to generation. Are you getting my points? That is more important. So acquired traits now. Okay, we are going to talk about the acquired traits. So in evolution, there are acquired traits. What are the acquired traits? Which cannot pass, which cannot or which can't be passed from one generation to another, but it contained by individual presence. My point is clear? Yes. So inheritance, genetic information can be transferred, acquired, not transferred, present at a this one. So this we have clear over here. Okay. So we have done this much. We have time. We can go ahead. Okay. Now let's talk about the homologous organ. What is homologous organ? Now, how can you say that we are developed from, evolved from the Homo sapien monkey species? How can you say that? Just by looking at monkey, we are not exact copy of the monkey, but there are some organs, there are some postures are similar to the. Are we writing like this? No, but there are something which is common, which make us to think something, which is make us think something. What is that? Homologous organ. What is homologous organ? Homologous. What do you mean by homo? Same. Homologous organ. What is homologous organ? Are the organs which are similar in a structure but different in a function. Organs which are similar similar in structure, but different in function. Such as, give me example. Let's take example. The forelimb of the amphibian, reptiles, birds, and mammals have the similar structure. If you see the whale use the forelimbs for what? Moving the water backward to go ahead. Then in case of reptiles, in case of human also, are we using the forelimb for the going away to push the water? No, our function is different. But if you see the whale, if you see the human hand, if you see the horse, if you see the bat, the structures are quite same. You can see in your book, right? You can see in a book, homologous organ. The topic is homologous organ. The structure is same, but function is different. Okay. The example, the forelimbs of the amphibian, reptiles, birds, and mammals have a similar structure, but a different function. Frog, amphibian uses its forelimb to rise the front of the body, right? Like this. In case of lizard, reptile uses the forelimb for the walking and running. Birds use for flying. Mammals use the limbs for grasping, walking, running, swimming, flying, etc. This is the show the evolutionary relationship. Means what? These are the homologous organs which shows the evolutionary data. Okay, that evolutionary data is nothing but relationship. So who shows the evolutionary relationship? Tell me. Homologous organ. So if you want to study between two species, I should focus on homologous organ. Okay, you can give example. Reptiles forelimb used for the walking. Humans, mammals are using for the same thing, right? You know, functions are quite different. Yes or no? Okay. Now we talk about the homologous. We talk about what? Homologous. Let's talk about the analogous. What is analogous? Homologous means what? Similar structure but different function. Analogous means what? An organ which are different in structure but similar function. Organs different in structure but same in function. Okay, different in structure but same in a function. Example, the wings of butterfly, birds and the bat have a different structure. Wings of, example क्या आएगा यहाँ पे? Wings of butterfly, bat, bird. Now tell me one thing. Whatever the in we are not considering the structure. Consider the function. Butterfly, bat, birds use the wings for flying purpose. So flying is a common thing in between that. Structure, they are not, we are not chasing the structure. We are focusing on what? Emphasis on what? Function. So analogous are one who have a same function. And homologous are one who have a same structure. Okay. So this show the evolutionary relationship. Means what? Again, this is the link between. They are giving the link for what? That is something is common between this. Okay. Something is common between structure, something common with a function. Okay. Now, what are the fossils? Tell me. Have you written this? Okay. What are the fossils? Tell me. Okay. Tell me one thing, from where we get a fossils? Inside the soil? Soil layers, many layers are there. So what are the fossils? Fossil fuel. Have you understood fossil fuel? What is fossil? What is fuel? Petrol, diesel. In Oman, this country, the Gulf countries are known for the fossils. Why? Majority of dinosaur got maybe buried into this field. Maybe happens. Maybe those organisms, those species are getting buried inside the soil. A tremendous pressure is continuously going on them. So what's going to happen? Under the soil, microbes are there. Those microbes are responsible for conversion of the body into the some liquid. That is a fuel. Okay. So in this area, Gulf area, fuel is abundant as compared to the other countries. Why? Maybe chances सब डायनासोर आके यही मरे होंगे. Maybe chances, right? और वहां भी सब जगह होंगे. Everywhere will be there. But here, have you seen the mountain structure? They are mostly stony-like structure, stone-like structure. If you see the mountains from the other countries, you will find greenery on that. Proper greenery is there. Here is not greenery. Here are stone-like structure. So, a major surface is under pressure of this. So maybe fossil fuel is much more as the pressure is tremendous. These are what are the fossil? The remnants of the organism. This is what remaining part or remains of organisms. Remains of what? Organisms which lived long ago. From the study of the fossil, we can know their structures and the time period in which they lived. The fossil of the complex and richer organisms are found closer to the surface of the earth. Those who are just in era, we can find it here. Those who are like dinosaur and all, we have to bury it a lot. Okay. The age of the fossil can be determined by the radiocarbon dating. What we required? Radiocarbon dating to know the age of the fossil. Okay. Why we have to study fossil? We understand what was the environment earlier, right? Yes or no? The age of the fossil can be determined by radiocarbon dating. The study of the fossil show the evolution simpler form into the complex form and their evolution relationship. Now, tell me one thing: why dinosaur we are not find right now? Because they are a very huge size. The food availability is not there. Can you see right now the age of the human beings are getting reduced? Earlier it was 100. There are people who can live more than 100, but right now 60, 70, 80 was final. Why? Resources are not there. Some environmental changes are there. Genetic changes are there, right? So the study of the fossils will tell about the what was the environment there and what is earlier a gigant animals was there. Okay, why? Food availability is much more. Everywhere is forest, but right now you can't expect that. Evolution by stages. Evolution by stages. Okay, this I'm going to talk. Just otherwise I will stop. What is evolution by stages? By stages. Evolution. Why evolution by stages? Tell me. It is a long process, not a quick process. So complex organism and its organs develop from the simpler organism gradually over the generation. Tell me one thing. Crocodile, if you talk about, it's a dinosaur species. Earlier it was very huge, but they are compacted themselves into the water bodies. And if you see crocodile, they look similar like or a smaller version of the dinosaur only. Yes or no? Almost same, right? So evolution of the eyes. The eyes of planaria. Eyes of planaria. What is planaria? Planaria. How organism reproduce? In that we have seen that if the planaria is this kind of thing, okay. If you cut from any side, it can be regenerate, है ना? Regeneration, regenerate their whole body. So you can see the eyes of planaria. Okay, so the eyes of planaria are just eye spot. Actually, they are not eyes. They look like eyes, but they are not eyes at all. Why this organism should require eye? No use of that. He just want to grow. Microbes do not have an eye. They just sense the environment. So these are the spot detect the light. So these are not eyes. These are the spots who detect the light. It is developed gradually into the complex organ. They are higher animal because earlier the planaria do not get direction properly. So from whenever he get light, the spots are developed such a way he goes there. Okay. Then evolution of the feathers. Evolution by feathers. Feathers कहाँ से आते हैं? Tell me. Feathers are first developed dinosaurs and used. But dinosaur having the feathers, but they can't fly because of the high weight. If you see the birds are modification of the some dinosaur only. Those are willing to fly. So the first of all, their bone become hollow, weight become less, and the feathers are there, so they can fly properly. So the first developing dinosaur and used by protection from the cold. What is the function of umbrella? Umbrella is not for the rain at all. It is for the protection from the sun rays. And secondary uses during the rain. Umbrella are not meant for the rainy season. To be very honest, it is meant for the summer season that you wear. But people are not using mostly umbrella in a summer. They switch to umbrella into rainy season. But earlier use what that. जो राजा महाराजा आते थे पीछे से अम्ब्रेला दिखता था ना वो उनके शैडो के लिए था. Okay. Now evolution is by artificial selection. What is artificial selection? Anybody know artificial selection? We talk about the eyes of planaria, feathers in dinosaurs. Now evolution by the artificial selection. Humans cultivated a wild cabbage for over 200 years and produced different vegetables from the artificial selection. Now I told you, I told you something. Please pay attention. Cabbage by selection, short distance between the leaves. Cauliflower by selection, sterile flower. Kale, what is that? Broccoli by arresting the growth of flower growth. Okay, now what is that? I will tell you. I want a cabbage. Cabbage is what? Vegetable. If the cabbage is going to produce naturally, the distance, actually cabbage is a bird, a big bird. What is bird? Meristematic tissues, bird, apical. Okay. So why bird? Because leaves, cabbage is nothing but leaves. If the distance between leaf is more, cabbage is not more cabbage right now. So we want a cabbage is such a way that leaf distances should be very small. So we have cultivated. Now the natural process, actually natural, we can say natural species is now gone because artificially we cultivate a cabbage like this only. Now cauliflower, if I want a cauliflower, by selecting sterile flower, because I want to eat it, reproduction should not happen. That's why. Then broccoli, you must have now heard of broccoli. What is broccoli? If a broccoli get a flower, everything is lost. So broccoli without flower we want. So we are preventing the broccoli flower growth. So now broccoli is now only giving the green part, not flower at all. Because the thing is that, like आपकी mummy in your case, mummy is shouting to do, not to do, not to do. One day is come, I don't want to do that because of the irritation, right? Similar way. Okay. Now embryology. What is embryology? Study of the embryo. If you see a fetus study, you can find, you can see on your book, embryology. Next page. Can you see? No? Okay. What is embryology according to you? The study of embryo. Initial, if you see the everybody's embryo, not everybody's embryo, every species embryo, you will find embryo is looking same. Okay. And after something like you, if you see the turtle embryo, if you see the human embryo, initial stages they feel this seems like very same, but after the growth they have a changes over there. Okay, this point is very clear. The last point that I just want to read for you: evolution should not be equated with a progress. Evolution should not be equated with a progress. What is that? What is evolution? A slow and gradual changes. It can't be happen very easily. That is a more important point. So evolution has not resulted in a progress. Evolution has resulted in the formation of several complex species from a simpler species to the variation, right? Genetic drift, natural selection, it has to be undergo. This does not mean that one species get eliminated when the new species are formed or the other new species are better than the older species. This is not going to happen. Homo sapien species was the monkey species that got developed into the humans. But there are other monkey species also there from that beginning towards right now. They haven't changed because they're not willing to change. Getting my point? So it's depend on that. They wanted to or not. For example, I'm continuously going to the gym. I will get a physique definitely. If I'm going to gym just for formality, I will not get anything. Getting my point? So it's willpower that makes the evolution. Species get eliminated only if they are not able to adapt to the changes, like dinosaurs. They are not willing to change, or the high temperatures suddenly some happen changes in the environment, right? We don't know exactly why the dinosaur got destroyed. We don't know exactly because we are not there. So we just predicting the theory that temperature got increased, and because of that they are not able to survive because they are cold blooded. So in the environment, several species which could not adapt to changes in the environment still continue to survive. For example, cockroach, crocodile was there only. Cockroach was so developed, atomic bomb is also there, he will not die because of the keratin on the red color keratin. But we can do like this. to the cockroach, right? But actually, he can survive at atomic bomb as well. Okay, human beings have not evolved from the chimpanzees. Are we chimpanzees? No. They had a common ancestor from which they evolved separately. I told you now, there are so many species from only one species willing to do that. Okay, so human beings are not the evolution, but they are only one species among the several evolution species. They also evolving day by day. Even you see chimpanzees also so much smart. That doesn't mean we are a human beings, but still they are trying to improve, but by their own self. The rate is very slow. Now, human evolution, Homo sapiens. We got evolution from the Homo sapiens. There is a great diversity among the human beings in their form and features around the world. Human beings evolved in Africa. Tell me one thing now. Please tell me one thing. Human beings are, is written in your book, in Africa. So our ancestor from Africa. Are you getting my point? So from Africa, someone goes to China. From Africa, someone goes to India. From Africa. So that is a speciation. And the variation start with the according to the environment. That's why Chinese has the this eyes, right? Because maybe sunlight is there. Indians have a dark skin because exposure to sunlight. Those who are in a USA kind of thing, they have a skin pigmentation. They want a sun bath. Are we willing to take a sun bath? Not at all. But this is the variation, right? So then due to the genetic variation and the environmental changes in the different geography, this is very important. Geographical changes leads to the changes in their forms and the features. So have you got my points? What we're talking about? So evolution is very slow process. Many factors are responsible for the evolution. So we have covered the chapter name as heredity and evolution in a nutshell. I wanted to read more things about it. Okay. So